participate in that one. But this information, so I won't repeat the names of everybody, but we have with representative of CBSA here and the IOM and the manager of the program. And we also, what I was saying is that the Nicola will do the presentation, and this one will be for maybe 30 to 35 minutes, and we are going to, to leave the questions at the end. So please take notes and send it to us as soon as you have the question in order that we can try to answer all of them in the 25 minutes that we will have, or a little bit less. And the other thing that I was saying is that I know that this program has political reactions and many people may not agree with the program. Our intention this afternoon is not to discuss about that, is to receive information about how the program is implemented and technically sound, and and to have information about how to refer people and all of this stuff that we need to know to do our work for people that wants to go back to their own countries after the process here. So now I will leave the mic with Nicola Graviano, that is the program manager, that is going to make the presentation.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Francisco said, I am Nicola Graviano, and I'm the program manager of the AVRR program. Thank you very much for all of you who are participating in this webinar today, and the organizers in Ocasio. We really appreciate your time and your availability today. So, and going into the presentation of the AVRR program. What we will see this afternoon is a short introduction of IOM and IOM in Canada, for those of you who might not be familiar with the International Organization for Migration. Then we will talk about the details of the Assisted Voluntary Return programs and how it works. And then we will give you some information on the results of the program, the results that we achieved so far, with some statistics and some also additional information on the outreach that we are conducting and the referral mechanisms. So I will go to the next slide. 1 second. So the IOM, the International Organization for Migration, is an intergovernmental organization that was founded in 1951, and IOM is committed to the principle that human and orderly migration benefits migrants and societies, host countries, transit countries, and countries of origin. The organization is today comprised of 151 member states and 12 observer states. And we have 450 field offices with nearly 8,000 staff. To add to that, we can say that IOM is not part of the UN system, although we have several cooperation mechanisms with the UN. Canada was actually a founding member of IOM in 1951. We have been cooperating with CIC and with other agencies like CIDA, DFID, and recently CBSA. And we also have an office in Ottawa that provides operational level linkage between IOM and CIC when it comes to the resettlement activities that we conduct for refugees who can be resettled in Canada. When it comes to the AVR in general, so not yet into the Canadian program, when it comes to the AVR in general, assisted voluntary return and reintegration includes the provision of logistical and financial supports to migrants who are unable or unwilling to remain in the host countries. And reintegration is the inclusion or the reincorporation of a migrant or a group of migrants into the society of the countries of origin. These kind of programs have been operated by IOM since 1979, especially in Europe. And the AVRR as a concept, as a strategy, was recognized by the IOM in 2010, and this was approved by the member states of the organization as an indispensable tool to support the human and dignified return of irregular migrants and asylum seekers. The ABR can be of different types depending on the agreement that there is with the government. They can support the return of irregular migrants, of unsuccessful asylum seekers, or other categories of migrants wishing to return to their home countries. There can be specific ADR programs for specific categories of migrants, such as victims of trafficking or unaccompanied minors. And sometimes also ADR can assist migrants who are stranded in transit countries, so migrants who find themselves caught in the migration process and cannot go forward or cannot go back, so they are assisted by IOM. We believe that in general the ADR is a good tool of migration management because for migrants it avoids the stigma of the forced return and negative repercussions that it might have, and it usually provides more information and a bit more time for the preparation to return. For the host government, it is a good alternative to traditional returns and can be a quicker and also cheaper solution. And it can facilitate the sustainability of return, especially if accompanied by reintegration measures. And it enhances the cooperation with countries of origin, and sometimes is also better accepted by the public opinions. For the governments of origin is also a better option in general because migrants return in a different way, and again it can facilitate sustainability of the return, taking into account therefore the concerns of the individual and the communities of origin, and can sometimes also it can support development efforts if again targeted, if measures for reintegration are also added to the ADR, and again it's usually better accepted by public opinions of the countries of origin where migrants return to. So this is just to give you a general overview of what the AVRR is about as a concept in IOM. Now we will go into more details about the Canadian AVRR program, which, as you might know and as you will see in this presentation, presents some specificities that make it a bit different from other programs that we have been implementing in other parts of the world. So the program is a 3-year pilot program that was launched on 29th of June last year in partnership with the Canada Border Service Agency, which is the implementing partner of the program. The AVRR is part of the general reform of the asylum process that you are, I'm sure you're aware and familiar with. The AVRR program in Canada is specifically addressed to failed refugee claimants in and around the Greater Toronto area. So unlike other programs that we've seen before that IOM implements in other areas of the world, this program is not open to any category of migrants. So the focus is really on those who have submitted a claim for asylum and whose claim has been denied by the Canadian authorities. So we cannot assist under this program temporary foreign workers or migrants in irregular situation, like overstayers who never apply for asylum, and or migrants who are still in the procedure of asylum but decide to withdraw. And actually, this is, as you can see also in this slide, if migrants withdraw, their application is one of the exclusion criteria of the program. They cannot be assisted by IOM if they withdraw their claim. The process starts when their claim is denied by the Canadian authorities. So you can see here that there are a few other exclusion criteria for the program. So one of them, I repeat, is somebody who has withdrawn or abandoned his or her refugee claim. If the claim had no credible basis and was refused because of that, if there was a criminal record, if migrants represent a threat to national security, or well, but they were charged with human or international rights violation or organized crime, and also if they have an outstanding application for permanent residence along with the spousal sponsorship application. Other than that, failed refugee claimants can participate in the AVR program, and the way it works, there are three phases of the program. There is the pre-departure phase, there is the departure phase, and then there is the post-arrival phase. So the pre-departure phase starts with an initial referral by CBSA. This is a very important point because migrants who are interested in participating in the program cannot approach directly IOM. They have to be referred to IOM by the CBSA. So there is an interview that migrants have to go through with somebody from CBSA in their office here in Airport Road. Migrants can, when somebody receives a negative reply, they might receive a call saying by CBSA saying your claim has been denied, you have to come here for an interview, or they might also approach CBSA spontaneously and say, I know that my claim has been denied, I know that there is this program and I would like to participate in it. So there is a walk-in unit at CBSA that migrant can access directly without being called by CBSA. Either way, as I say, the initial referral has to come by CBSA and not directly by IOM. So when CBSA interviews for the first time migrants, they do a screening of their file, and they then inform IOM that migrants are eligible for the program. And after that, migrants have to contact IOM. They have 1 day to contact, after the interview with CBSA, they have 1 day to contact IOM to schedule an interview, to schedule an appointment with us. So when they do so, we have an appointment with them. We have a counseling session with them, where we explain how the program works, who we are first of all, how the program works, what kind of services IOM can provide for them, and if the migrant decides to enroll in the program, there is a development of a basic reintegration plan that will be further elaborated and can be amended also in the country of return. And this is a plan that is aimed at facilitating the reintegration of the migrant in his or her country of origin. We also provide the services to obtain travel documents in case migrants don't have a valid travel documents, a valid passport. So we liaise with consulates, IOM liaises with consulates or embassies, and if there is any cost associated to that, these are covered for by the program. And then we schedule departure dates and we book tickets. If there is any medical condition, we take that into account. Usually there is no medical escort or no other escort. That's really the exception in case migrants have some medical conditions. In that case, we can organize medical or non-medical escorts. So when it comes to the departure phase, I mentioned that the tickets are that one of the services that we provide is the purchase of the ticket. Now, one important note here is that according to the Canadian legislation, if if the government of Canada, in this case through IOM, pays for your ticket, and then if you return to Canada in the future, you will be required to repay $1,500, no matter what the actual cost of the ticket was. So in the Canadian system, there is the possibility to pay for your own ticket, so to be a self-payer. And in this case, if you return to Canada one day, you will not be requested to repay this $1,500. There is the possibility to do that in the ADR program as well. In case migrants are interested in this possibility, in this option, and we mentioned this during the counseling process, in case migrants are interested in this option, they let us know during the counseling process, and we purchase the ticket for them, and then they give us a money order. So they can't just go on the internet and buy for their own ticket because of our regulations, but we purchase the ticket for them, and then we get the money order. So there is the possibility for migrants to pay for their own ticket if they wish so, if they foresee that in the future they will come back to Canada. In that case, it is in their advantage if they have the money here. It is in their advantage to do so. So when everything is ready for the tickets and for the booking, we coordinate with migrants to make sure that they arrive at the airport here in Toronto on the date of departure. And IOM staff meets returnees at the airport and assist them with check-in procedures, and we accompany migrants until the departure gate. So it's IOM staff who goes to the airport, and the migrants are not escorted. They travel like any other passenger, like any other, like you and I could travel tomorrow on a regular flight. There is no escort, as I said, unless exceptional circumstances and medical reasons. If migrants must transit in a country to reach his or her final destination, in that case, IOM staff is also there at the airport to make sure that migrants catch the following plane. That's usually the case for migrants going, for example, to Europe. There is usually a transit in Frankfurt, so IOM is there at the Frankfurt airport to make sure that there is no problem catching the following flight. And also migrants can be met at the airport of arrival if they wish so by IOM staff.
They will have access to your presentation.
Yes. Yeah. After arrival, we can also arrange assistance to facilitate the onward transportation to the final destination. These can be arranged actually even here before they travel. So this can be done by a following flight, or can be done by a bus or a minivan, or a taxi. And then returnees need to contact the IOM office within 30 days to begin the implementation of the reintegration plan. They can do so by visiting the IOM office, or they can do so by a phone call. It's just to say, I'm here, I've arrived, I know I'm interested in receiving the reintegration part. As we said before, the reintegration plans can be amended upon return, because there is a counseling process that takes place with the IOM there. So they decide together. IOM provides counseling on the possibilities to use this support. We will go in a moment about we will look into the kind of support that is provided. So they decide together basically on how to use the money, and taking into account the conditions of the family, the conditions of the individual, the conditions of the community. And usually the assistance is provided in kind within 6 months from the date of return. Now, the assistance can be extended to more than 6 months. So, for example, if the money is enough to cover for a year of rental, that's possible. But let's say the money needs to leave our accounts by 6 months from the date of return. And then after the 6th month, so within the 7th month from the return, there is a monitoring process that is conducted by IOM. That can be done also by a visit, personal visit, or by a phone call to the returnee to check how they use the money, how the how the reintegration process is going. The reintegration assistance, there are 3 levels of entitlement: $2,000, $1,500, and $1,000. $2,000, well, there is a difference between the 15th of December, before the 15th of December and after 15th of December 2012. But basically, you will see the difference in the slide, but basically the idea is that migrants can have $2,000 per person if they participate if they enroll in the program without going for an appeal to the negative decision. If they go for the first stage of appeal, they will get $1,500. And if they go to the last stage, so to the pre-removal risk assessment in the whole system, they will get $1,000 per person. So this following slide explains how it works for after the 15th of December 2012, but the amounts are basically the same. One important note here is that this money is given per person, with the exception of Canadian-born children who don't receive the reintegration support. So if in a family of 5 there are no Canadian children, they could get up to $10,000. If if in the same family of 5 there is 1 Canadian-born children, migrants could get up to $8,000. And this money can be used to pay for one piece of additional luggage upon departure. So if the airlines allow for 1 free bag, we can pay for a second one. We can support onward transportation, as I said, upon arrival to the final destination. This money can also be used for job search assistance, legal assistance, material assistance, medical support, small business, temporary accommodation, and training and schooling. So it's quite flexible, it's quite wide also, because we wanted to leave the possibility to migrants really to take into account their personal needs. And as I said, this plan is defined upon arrival in the country of return by the migrants. In certain countries, we do not have an IAM office. So as you can see here, we have established partnerships with local NGOs whenever we don't have an office. So that's the case, for example, for Israel, or that's the case for small islands in the Caribbean where IOM does not have an office. And these partners provide the very same assistance that IOM provides, so in kind for the returnees that they assist. One important note is that the reintegration assistance does not have to be repaid in case migrants return to Canada one day. So there is a difference here between the tickets and the reintegration. The tickets was something that was in the legislation, so we follow that, and so the same rule applies for the AVR program, but the reintegration assistance does not have to be repaid. I'm sure you all are familiar with the designated countries of origin. The concept and the list of these designated countries of origin that the Canadian government has come up in 3 waves, on the 15th of December 2012, 15th of February this year, and 15th of May this year. So these are countries that usually don't produce refugee claimants, or they have a high rate of withdrawal, abandonment, or rejection. So it is basically all countries of the EU with the exception of Romania and Bulgaria, and then US, Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, Australia, Israel, Japan, South Korea, Chile, Mexico. I think I've mentioned all of them. So it is a designated countries of origin, like it is a DCO. Somebody who has received a negative, who comes from this country and has received a negative reply after the date of announcement. So in this case, migrants receive a limited cash support at the airport. So it is not the full support up to $2,000 in kind in the countries of return. It is only a limited cash support in Toronto before they depart. And and this is the breakdown of the support they can receive. So one migrant is up to $500, two migrants $700, three migrants $900, four migrants $1,100, five migrants $1,300, and then six or more migrants $1,500. And there, again, there is no further support in the countries of return. These are a bit of a stats of what we have done so far. So you can see here the breakdown of the 10 top countries of return. Up to October, we have assisted nearly 2,600 migrants. So you can see that Hungary accounts for almost 50% of this. And then we have in the top 10, we also have Colombia, Czech Republic, Croatia, Mexico, Slovakia, Poland, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and then Israel. I repeat, almost 2,600 returnees assisted up to October 2013. You can see here the distribution by month. So in 2012, we have assisted 862 migrants. And there you see the breakdown for 2013 up to October. And you can see here the age distribution. So 1% is infant, so 0 to age 0-2, 32% is children. So 1/3 we can say that it's basically children and infant altogether, and 67%, so 2/3 is adults aged 18 and above. There is a quite even gender distribution, so 51% of migrants are male, while 49% of migrants are female. And this is something different also from what we see in other programs, because usually in other programs, in other area programs that IOM has been implementing in the past, we usually have assisted single male, while in this program we have families and we have more women. And to conclude, this is some information material that IOM has come up with. There is a general leaflet on the program. There is a travel guide. The general leaflet explains basically the general information, gives general information about the program, how the program works, what kind of services we can give. Then there is a travel guide that explains how things go at the airport. And in the end, there is a reintegration booklet that explains how the integration process works, the categories, the in-kind assistance, etc. And all this material is available in 6 languages, English, Spanish, French, Hungarian, Mandarin, and Russian. We are also translating into Polish, Czech, and Croatian at the moment. And we also have a website, which is www.iomtoronto.ca, which is in English, French, and Spanish. And you can find all the information about the program and this information material also on the website. There are also some information tools that CBSA has produced and that we also distribute during outreach sessions. So this basically, my presentation ends here. Just a small note again to say that today this is part of a general outreach that IOM and CBSA are conducting to raise awareness about the program, to give additional information about how the program works. We are available for any clarification or any additional information that you might require, and we thank you very much for your attention this afternoon.
Thank you, Nicola. We have 2 questions now. Oh no, 3. So the questions are coming in. The first question is, will be available a copy of your presentation and where they can get it?
Well, this session is recorded, so probably Okasi might answer this question, but definitely it is available, and we can share it also with the participants after the the session.
So we can agree that Okasi is going to, you can ask Okasi, and can you put it in your IOM website as well?
Yeah, definitely.
So the IOM website may have it, so you can download it from them. The other question is, does GTA include the cities of Guelph, Kitchener, and Waterloo?
Yes, it does. It does include all these locations because it's in and around the GTA.
And it's also depending on where the CBSA file is. No, if the 6900 has it, so maybe you can, Mohammed, you can answer that question.
Hi, this is Mohammed from the CBSA. Essentially, if the claim is made in and around the GTA region, or mostly the Southern Ontario region, from Niagara Falls to Kingston, and the decision is rendered at the IRB in Toronto, generally speaking, those are the files that would be applicable for this program.
So it's not depend where the person lives, it's more depending on the file.
Correct. I think we've had clients that live in Windsor that have been participating in the program, and we
Fort Erie, St. Catherine, Guelph.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, they were asking, especially asking for Windsor area.
So if the file is being worked on in the GTA region, basically at 6900 Airport Road, if the file is being worked on in this office, then the client themselves can participate. But if a client is being worked on in Windsor, they can ask the officer in Windsor whether or not they can apply for this program as well, and that officer can look into it as well.
Okay. The other question is, how is the use of the financial assistance monitored or accounted for when migrants return to country of origin?
Yeah. So the process is, with the exception of the DCO, the process is in-kind assistance, so it's the services that we provide for the migrants. So for instance, if migrants say, I want to use their integration assistance for temporary accommodation, then in that case, we ask for some supporting document, so a rental contract in this case, and on the base of this rental contract, we would then, IOM then transfers the money from the office to the landlord. If migrants want to buy some material to set up a small business, then they would bring a quote, and we would then transfer the money to the vendor of those material. Or if migrants want to use the money for medical assistance, then we would pay the cost for the medicines, or we will pay the hospital. We'll pay the hospital bills. So there is a direct. Let's say migrants don't receive the cash because it's in kind. So the transfer goes directly from the IOM to the vendor or to the service provider. But it's always IOM, or in the exceptional cases of the partners, it's always IOM who is in charge of the process, and who is the in-between, let's say, the migrant and the vendor or the service provider in the country.
But let me clarify that the government of Canada, or CBSA, depend on the accountability or monitoring of the IOM mechanism. So there is not a direct mechanism of overseeing this program. It's the IOM that has their own mechanisms of control, and they report back to CBSA about the expenditures and numbers and everything. So that's one of the gaps that have been identified, because the CBSA doesn't have a jurisdiction or mandate to go internationally to do this type of things. So every monitoring accountability depends on the internal mechanism of accountability of IOM.
Well, there are some, there is some monitoring that is conducted directly by CBSA, and actually recently we have conducted a joint monitoring visit to Hungary and Czech Republic between CBSA and IOM. So we went there. Mo and I were there with somebody else from Ottawa. So there is also a direct checking that is done by CBSA. There will be another mission, monitoring mission, next year, conducted as well jointly by CBSA and IOM. So and in this context, the CBSA has checked how the operations are run by IOM in these two countries, and has also visited returnees. Other than that, there is a direct and constant reporting on each case that is conducted by IOM to CBSA. So for each case, we report on how much was spent, what kind of activities the returnees have used the money on, and also the results of the monitoring report.
Okay, the other question is the $1,500 that people have to pay if they return to Canada is per person or per family?
Per person.
It's per person, okay? It's a $1,500 for each person that was removed by CBSA to the country of origin. So the other question is financial assistance. What is it? Is if there are any likelihood that the AVRR program will be expanded to other cities?
The AVR pilot program right now is in the pilot stage, where the Government of Canada is evaluating how it's run. At the end of the pilot phase in March 2015, a decision will be made as to whether or not this pilot program should be expanded to other cities, to be only in the Toronto region, or even possibly to cancel the program altogether. Those options have to be explored. At this time, while the CBSA is conducting the pilot program, it's also conducting the internal evaluations of the program on an ongoing basis. The decision for implementation after the pilot phase has to be made sometime in 2014, as it takes time to start processing the next phase, if it will process the next phase. Those decisions haven't come down yet, and they won't come down for, my guess is, another year or so.
Do the people have to repay the $1,500 even if they return to Canada with a visa?
Yes. The Canadian legislation states that if a client's ticket is paid for by the Government of Canada to execute their removal order, then any returns back to Canada, those tickets have to be repaid at a $1,500 per person fee, regardless if they have a visa or authorization to return.
What happens is that when the person submits an application for a visa, you know, a student visa, work visa, whatever, if the final decision of the embassy or consulate depend on the payment, the repayment of the $1,500. So at the end of the process, before the person receives the visa, they will be contacted and said, you have a debt with the government and it's $1,500, or if these two people will be $3,000. The person has to pay, and then the visa is issued. So they will have to repay that one. The other question, not assist with claims that are not credible. Do you use the denial letter for that, or how do you know that the claimant is not credible?
The IRB will make that decision, and it will be in their reasons for the rejection of that claim. We go by that. At the CBSA, we go by the decision of the IRB member.
And the CBSA received the decisions from the IRB, no?
Correct, we do receive.
So they receive it directly, and so they check it before the person is contacted. So if the person is a non-credible basis that is defined by the IRB, the person won't be won't be given the information about the AVR program.
Correct, they won't be offered this program.
So DCO countries only receive certain amount and no help after returning in country of origin. Does that apply to claims from DCO countries or only to claims after December 15?
So this applies to migrants from those countries who are in the list who have received the negative decision after the 15th of December or after the 15th of February or after the 15th of May, depending on what country they return to. At the moment, we are assisting, from the same country, we are assisting people who are in the old system, so who are not DCOs, and people who are in the new system, so who are DCOs. So if somebody comes from Italy, let's say, not because I return to Italy, I am automatically considered as DCO. It depends on when I receive the negative decision. So if I receive the negative decision on the 10th of December, I will not be considered as DCO. If I receive the negative decision on the 20th of December, I will be considered as DCO.
But Mexico and Chile also received this the same treatment.
Mexico was included, if I recall it correctly, it was included in the DCO list in February 2013, and Chile was included in May 2015. So it's not December for them. The cut date for Mexico is 15th of February. The cut date for Chile is 15th of May.
Will the program for which migrant categories from Romania? So, the program applied for people that are removed to Romania?
The program is open to potentially to any country where it is possible to have return according to the Canadian, also to the practice of IOM. So Romania might be included in this. I don't recall now having any return to Romania. I can double check, but if so, certainly Romania is not among the first countries of return, as you can see there.
And the other question is, some countries require proof of verification of health coverage from migrants while they were here in Canada. Would you be able to provide them with some letter that they can take with them to their country of origin?
Well, this is actually something that it is an important note, and this also applies to school cards. And we actually recommend returnees to bring those documents with them. It is important actually that they do so, because we are not in contact with the health authorities or school authorities, but it's important that the returnee themselves do so before they return. So we remind them during the counseling process because this can be very useful for them when they return.
Is the CBSA involved in the return process in any other way beside the initial referral and exit at the border?
The CBSA itself refers the client. From there on in, the IOM will handle the pre-departure and the departure itself. The only aspect where this slightly differs is that the confirmation that the person has left is done in an anonymous fashion by a guard that has the authority to sign off that the person has actually left. This person does not make contact with the clients. It only makes contact with the IOM personnel afterwards. So the actual departure itself is very anonymous and very low-key without any uniform presence at all.
The only time that CBSA go back to the file and deal with the person that is going to be removed is if the process at the IOM doesn't work. If there is more than 30 days, if the person doesn't leave or they don't contact IOM, the CBSA take back the file and start the removal procedures as is happening when the person is not in the program.
Correct. As well, I'd like to point out the fact of the voluntary nature of this program. A client at any point can decide that they do not want to participate in AVRR. So at any point in time when they're with the IOM and discussions with the IOM, they decide that AVRR is not for them, that they want to file an appeal of any sort, then the file is then returned back to CBSA and it would be proceeded that way.
Are refused claimants automatically referred by the CBSA, or do they have to contact CBSA? If they have to contact CBSA, do they have to go to 6900 Airport Road office?
Yes, if they want to participate in the program, they'll have to come to 6900 Airport Road to be referred to the IOM. They have to receive a letter from the CBSA saying they're eligible to participate in the program, and then they're able to contact the IOM and proceed with an appointment. Now, all those that are eligible at the time of an interview with the CBSA, if they have been screened as eligible for the program, the officer that will be dealing with them in that interview will offer them AVRR. At any point in time, if a client is pre-departure in that their departure has not been set, they can ask the officer that has carriage of their file if they could be found eligible for the AVR program at any point.
Will safety measures be considered upon return?
Can you elaborate a bit more?
That's the question.
Okay, well, I guess it refers to the security conditions in the country. IOM is not in the position to provide advice to the returnees about the security position. What we encourage migrants to do is to contact contact their families, or if they wish so, the authorities in the countries to get more information about the security situation. We are not in the position to provide legal advice also in the program. And that's something that migrants will need to look into their own capacities.
What does the irregular migrant concept cover for the program?
Well, in this program, as I said, the program focuses only on failed refugee claimants. Irregular migrants is a broader concept and can include other migrants who don't have the right, because of their legal situation, who don't have the right to stay in the territory of a country. So somebody, for example, who overstay his or her visa would be an irregular migrant, but would not be a failed refugee claimant because he has never applied for asylum. Again, there is a difference between the coverage of the AVRR in general and the AVRR in Canada. The AVRR in Canada is only for failed refugee claimants. Whether these will be broadened up one day to include more categories of migrants, we don't know yet. It's something that...
Does the IOM track the number of migrants who return to Canada and pay the $1,500 after, receiving the or going through the program of the ABR?
It's not IOM, but I will give it to CVSA.
The CVSA does track all the returns that have gone through the removal process, regardless if they've gone through the ABR process or a traditional removal process. They always track who has paid $1,500, who's received an authorization to return, and whether or not visas have been issued.
There is the same question about the letter regarding health coverage here in Canada. They are asking who provide these letters. So do you know anything about this?
If we're talking about the IFH, I believe CIC is in charge of the IFH, Interim Federal Health, and my assumption is for them to contact CIC to either receive some supporting document or, if not, the IFH document themselves.
Okay, so because they're saying that CVSA basically take all the documents back, you know what I mean? So, and sometimes they have to prove that they were having medical coverage here.
Yes.
So would it be possible to provide them with a copy of that in order that if they needed to prove that when they are back?
I would suggest, and I think we'll discuss this internally with the IOM, but I think the IOM might be able to encourage them to obtain copies before their departure dates are set and possibly have their copies in their hand so that they can have it. The CVSA at that point in time is kind of removed from the airport, so it won't be possible for photocopies to be done at that point.
But can be done before.
Yes, absolutely. If the migrant or client has that document, I would very much encourage them to make copies of those documents and also obtain any school records for their children as soon as possible. Those records are very important for their children to go back into school in the appropriate grade.
Do you check financial status or situation of claimants when you provide the assistance?
No. So it's not because somebody is in a better financial position that he receives the money, and those who are not in a good financial position, or the other way around, will receive the money. The money for the assistance for integration is provided to everybody regardless of their financial situation.
How and at what stage of the refugee claimant process is the ABR introduced or informed? The person is informed.
I'm going back to the slide, but Mo can already...
Essentially, as soon as the decision, the refugee decision is rendered and the departure order phase is over, i.e. the first 30 days after the decision is rendered, that's when the CVSA will call the person in, as they're now considered a deemed deportation. At that point, the CVSA will call them in and ask them for their plans on how to return and then how to enforce their removal order at that point in time.
Originally was decided and the information of the ABR will be provided to people upon they make their claim. Is that happening?
There are posters at all the points of entry at the CIC offices where they can make their claim. There are AVR posters there, and there is.
But they don't provide the information,
no.
or a paper, or a piece of.
They have at the beginning. I'm not sure if they're continuing to do that at the CIC offices.
Would you check, please?
I can check it. Absolutely.
The program affect in any way the person requests of visas in the future? The participation of the AVR?
No, it doesn't. But migrants are subject to the general legislation of Canada when it comes to return to Canada. So when somebody receives a negative reply, usually they're given 30 days to leave the country, and if they do so within these 30 days, they can return to Canada without asking for an authorization to return. But if they go over these 30 days, not only will they require a visa, but also they will be requested to have an authorization to return through the Canadian embassies in their countries.
We have two questions. I thought that the amount of assistance depends on when you file your claim and not when you receive the negative decision. When did this change came regarding this?
There's been a lot of confusion even within my team locally as to when the decision or when the DCO indicator comes into effect. Originally thought it was when a claim is made, but later we were notified that that it was actually when a decision is rendered. So as long as a decision is rendered after the country is listed as a DCO, that's when it will be considered, that client will be considered as a DCO.
Okay. And what will be the outcome of this pilot program in the future?
We don't know yet. As Mo mentioned, there is an evaluation that is ongoing at CBSA at the moment. So we will see next year, probably next year this time, what the future of the AVRR is. In the current phase, the pilot program is up to March 2015, and then we will see what happens.
So thank you very much. You can continue sending questions to OCASI, to Amy and people in OCASI, and they will transfer that questions to IOM or CBSA. And they will try to answer it as soon as possible. Thank you for participating in the webinar. It was very heavy in questions. We didn't expect that, but thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Good.